Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, financial, or investment advice. Information presented is from internet or other news sources. Always do your own research and due diligence. We're not responsible for and expressly disclaim all liability for damages of any kind arising out of use, reference to, or reliance on any information contained in this broadcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Money and Change right here on the Trim Radio Network, better known as trimradio.com. Boy, there's been a lot of stuff going on, and it just happened like last night, and I've been trying to stay updated on everything because it's going to affect our economy. So you want to stay tuned and tell your friends about the show too. Wow. Before we get going, we always have to do some shout outs. And if we don't do the shout outs, well, the big boss, he won't get angry. He'll just let me do the shout outs a little bit my way, I guess. Anyhow, guys, welcome to the Trim Radio Network. And we've got problems right off the bat. What's going on here? Yes, we do. Daggone it. This thing is acting up again. I'm going to have to get a hold of the powers that be and kind of rough this thing up again a bit. Let's see if I can't get that thing going again. Let's see what we can do here. This is ridiculous. I've had mouse problems today. I've had computer problems today. I wonder if there's something going on with the internet. I don't know, but we'll try to find out. Whoa, it's not going to do it. I'll be darned. It worked before. Well, anyhow, screen sharing was canceled. Make sure you click share on the button. Well, I did. We'll try it one more time. No, it's telling my monitor. Oh my God. All this important stuff, and now I get all these bugs. Oh, what am I going to do, guys? I had videos for you and everything. I'm going to try it again. We'll see what we can do. One more time. It's still not showing. This is ridiculous. I get everything set up, and then all of a sudden we have these problems. I don't think they want me talking about things. Well, oh man, this is ridiculous. Let me try something else here. Something is just not right. Let's see if I can't get this thing to work. I've had problems with this. I don't know what's causing it all. But it gets to be a pain in the keister, and you know what that is. Now we've got it, I think. Let's see. Yeah, we do. Well, let's get back to the leadership part, because we're running late. You guys know the Fab Four, Michael Bejas, Rescala Stefan, myself, and Victoria Smith. We kind of head up the radio station here, and we do our shows and so forth, and I'm supposed to make people happy, and hopefully I do, and we don't have any more screw-ups like we had at the beginning of the show. But we have Rescala Stefan, he's the chief operating officer, and Michael Bejas is the founder, and Victoria Smith, she's the chief marketing officer, and she does a fantastic job. And we have shows, and we have Money and Change every Sunday at 7 p.m. live, unless I play a concert, and I've got about 5 concerts coming up this summer. So I will let you know when we will do an encore edition for Money and Change. We also have Life Walk with Christ God with Michael Bejas, and that's on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. We have My World, Live, Laugh, and Whatever on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. And we've been talking about data centers. And we have done about 5 different shows on data centers. And we may have just one more. And if we can get everybody together to be on that panel. If we can't, we'll do some comedy. We're flexible. And then we have Victoria Smith with the Natural Marketer podcast every Thursday. We have Offsides, College Football Top 25 with Michael Bejas and company. We have the Positude podcast every Friday at 8 p.m. We have Adventure Awaits Around the Bend Saturday at 1 p.m. and Ranch It Up with Tigra and Beck on Saturday at 1:30. And then, at night, we have on Saturday nights, we have the Red Pill reality show with Rascala Stefan. It's a 3-hour show. I've been on it before. He has a lot of different guests on, and it's a good show. You just have to follow Rascala. He does a very, very good show. You notice we have 3 different blank spaces here. Well, one of them is Revelation with Peter Kling. And we also have another one taken up here by Dora Sherry with Let's Talk About It with Dora. And so you have to check her out on Tuesday nights. We still have more spaces. We still have more room for shows. If you want to do your own show, it's very easy to do. All you have to do is contact us. That's the easiest thing to do, is to contact us. But how do you support us? Hey, all you do is buy the merchandise, as Michael says, or buy the merch. He likes to call it merch. But we've got shirts, we've got hats, we've got t-shirts, we've got mugs. Oh, we've got piqué shirts. We've got all kinds of stuff. So check it out. Support the show. You can donate, or you can go ahead and buy the merchandise, or you can advertise. We have very reasonable advertising rates right here on the Trim Radio Network. It's very easy to do. If you want to do your own show, and there's one thing that they took down, or it didn't appear, we have a red dot that appears over on the right-hand side. And the red dot kind of disappeared. And I don't know what they did with it. But you can tell we're on Castos, StreamYard, Rumble, YouTube, Printful, and Castos, a bunch of other places. But primarily, this show is on YouTube and Rumble. YouTube will show immediately after the show, and Rumble will be the next day. It always takes an extra day to load to Rumble. So if you want to do your own show, it's easy to do. All you have to do is contact us. Now, we do have a page for that, and I don't see it. There it is. It says contact us right at the top. And all you have to do is, we're located in Irmo, South Carolina. That's where we broadcast out of. You can call us 803-303-8667. That's 803-303-8667. You can get a hold of us at info@trimradio.com. And the office hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And our office is closed on Sundays. You got to give somebody a break, you know? So anyhow, you can contact us. And, we're also on Facebook. Oh, yeah. And on Facebook, we have our Money and Change / Financially Prepped page. And we have our members listed down below, and they're notified as to when our shows are. And if you want to join us, all you have to do is go down and click the invite button on that page. And when you do, it'll say you're requesting, and I will go ahead and approve it, and you'll be added to this list. It's very easy. But what do we put on that page? A lot of different things. You notice that we have our little lead up for the show here. Join us tonight for another live edition of Money and Change on trimradio.com, and all the links to the topics covered in the comment section below will be listed there. Okay. Watch us on YouTube and Rumble. And what do we have? We've got links to all the things we're going to talk about tonight, plus probably a little bit more. And they're not exactly in order, because normally I get the show set up and I order it, but I'm putting things on the Facebook page as quick as I can get them on, because they may happen just before the show starts. And just like tonight, just before the show was getting ready to go, we had a lot of stuff happen. And I was following a bunch of things about the Iran war that's going on, and everything that's going to happen with the economy And since it's money and change, we talk about money and change and the economy, don't we? So that's what we normally do. But you can check our past shows. We have links to everything on our past shows. We have our videos from YouTube will be posted right after the show. And all of our topics that we've covered in weeks past are located there, plus the past videos. It's a great thing to have because you can see what we've talked about. If we go a little bit long on a topic, I'll tell you what I do if we go a little bit long, I'll just say, check out our Facebook page because the links are down below. And if you want to go back and look at things after we discuss them, that's fine. Wow. So much for that. We've got the Iran war is on. It happened the other night, still going on. A lot of damage is happening in Iran right now. And if you notice that about 20% of the Earth's oil comes through the Strait of Hormuz, and that affects a lot of economies. And right now, nothing is really moving out of the Strait of Hormuz because, well, things are being blown up in the area. And there's a lot of stuff really going on. So they want to make sure nobody goes through that area. It's kind of touchy over there right now. And I was listening to some reports from there's a Facebook page or an internet page too called Monkey Works. And the guy gives a pretty good update of what's going on. And he's deliberately not discussing a lot of the instantaneous stuff because he has links to all the air traffic reports and identifiers and so forth in the area. And he's purposely not really getting into it other than just very general things because he can see what's going on specifically. The guy's fantastic. It's called Monkey Works. You can check it out on your own if you want. But I've been following that. I've been following what's happening on the markets and everything. And it's a little scary. And some people have said, in times of calamity, you put your money into precious metals and you put them into gold and silver. And I'm like, okay, well, what if you don't have money to put it into gold and silver? What do? You start prepping because if the shipping channels get shut down, we're going to experience higher oil prices. We're going to experience higher prices on other goods coming into the United States because we import a lot, and that's tough. And so you're going to see prices go up a little bit. And I noticed that with the gold markets today. The gold market went up $92 or $95 an ounce over what it was. It was already $5,200 an ounce for an ounce of gold. And it's going to go higher the more this calamity is going on. It's getting scary. And silver is going up in price too because of the same thing. If you can't afford gold, poor man's gold is silver. And it's a touchy thing. So if you can't get either one of those, start prepping, start buying canned goods, freeze-dried goods, blue tarps for your roof. Everybody needs blue tarps. Pay down your debt, put some money aside, set up that emergency fund like I've been talking about. Make sure you have good medical supplies. Make sure that you've, been able to store water. I mean, how many bottles of water can you go through? It's used to be 1 gallon per person per day, and now it's 3 gallons per person per day minimum. Yeah, drinking, washing, and other stuff. Okay, so remember that. Do you have the right clothes? Do you have batteries? I was checking my battery supply today to make sure I've got enough lithium batteries and double A's, triple A's, whatever. You have to be prepared anymore. Do you have enough gasoline stored properly? Do you have propane? Is that stored properly? Do you have a generator? Do you have solar panels? I mean, things you have to think about. I mean, now's the time to start prepping if you haven't started to prep before, and watch the prices because the prices are going to go up. Remember, I said it here on Money and Change. Okay, let's see what our first video is, because this is an important thing. I want you to watch this thing. You can take notes, or you can go back and you can play it later. But it has to do with what's going on over in Iran. So let's bring that up now. And here we go.
If the U.S. enters a major war with Iran, it could quickly ripple through inflation, markets, government spending, and everyday household costs. And right now, investors are trying to determine how far those ripples could spread. Over the past several days, the military buildup has expanded quickly. 2 aircraft carriers, more than 150 cargo flights, additional fighter jets, and missile defense systems all moving into position. Nothing has been confirmed yet, but markets don't wait for confirmation. They react to risk. And right now, they're trying to answer one question. How big could this become? And what does that mean financially? The first place this shows up is energy, but it doesn't stop there. Iran borders the Strait of Hormuz, which handles roughly 20% of global oil supply. Even the perception of disruption in that corridor can push energy prices higher. And once energy starts moving, it doesn't stay contained. If fuel costs rise, it shows up quickly. Trucking becomes more expensive. Shipping containers cost more to move. Airlines raise ticket prices. Delivery services adjust fees. And within weeks, those higher costs can start showing up in grocery prices, online orders, and everyday goods. Even utilities can be affected depending on how energy markets react. So it's not just about gas. It's about how energy touches almost every part of your spending. Now, once those costs start rising, the second layer kicks in. Interest rates. If inflation starts picking up again, even slightly, bond markets react fast. Investors begin adjusting expectations for where rates could go, and that flows directly into borrowing costs. Mortgage rates can move. Credit card interest stays high or rises. Auto loans become more expensive. Even small changes in rates can make a noticeable difference in monthly payments. And this part happens quietly. You don't get a headline saying your borrowing just got more expensive, but you feel it when you try to finance something. Then comes the third layer, financial markets. During periods of rising geopolitical tension, markets tend to get more volatile. You might see energy and defense stocks move higher. At the same time, broader markets can swing up or down depending on how investors interpret the situation. That affects retirement accounts, 401ks, investment portfolios. And even if you're not actively trading, those swings can impact confidence, which changes how people spend and invest. And when confidence shifts, the economy feels it. Then there's the fourth layer, government spending. A major regional conflict would require significant financial resources. The U.S. is already running elevated deficits, and sustained defense spending would increase borrowing needs even further. That doesn't mean immediate tax changes or benefit cuts, but it does mean more pressure on the overall fiscal picture, especially if spending increases at the same time inflation risk is rising. And those longer-term pressures don't show up overnight, but they build. So when you put all of this together, this isn't just one effect. It's a chain reaction. Energy moves first, then inflation pressure builds, then borrowing costs adjust, then markets react, then government spending adds another layer. And all of it eventually feeds back into everyday financial life. So as this situation develops, the real question isn't just whether something happens overseas. It's this: if these effects start to build, higher costs, more volatility, tighter financial conditions, do you feel prepared for it, or are you expecting this to stay limited? You folks,
Yeah, I'll tell you what. You take a look at a lot of things, and what happened with Zero Hedge today. The article came out, expect more moderate disruptions. Oil tankers avoid Strait of Hormuz as Operation Fury hits Iran. And they're saying automatic identification system, or the AIS, vessel tracking data indicate that multiple tankers abruptly reverse course near the entrance to the critical area. It's a choke point there. And with that going on with Operation Epic Fury, with the U.S. and Israel doing their thing, targeting the IRGC. It's going to be something. And Bloomberg reporter Stephen Stepsinski pulled data from the terminal that shows ship owners of crude and crude products and liquid natural gas, the LNG tankers, are avoiding the strait even though the waterway remains open and traffic has not stopped entirely. A number of oil and LNG tankers are avoiding sailing through the strait. NYK has advised its ships to avoid the waterway, and if they sink enough ships in the entrance, then you don't have access at all, and things will really get messed up. So you can take a look at that, and here's the map of it, the Strait of Hormuz, and you can see what's going on there. And you got a 21-mile opening, and then it turns and goes into the Persian Gulf. And just if that little area gets blocked, it's going to cause a lot of problems, and you can see that. So what's going to happen with this overall? It's going to get expensive. Gas right now, from what I've seen, was going up to $3.45 in some areas of the United States. And it's a good thing I gassed up on Friday, because I noticed the gas prices were still low enough. I think I got it for $2.66, which for around here is about average. And I noticed when I came back, the prices started to go up a little bit. So it gets scary. You're going to have to watch where you're buying gas. And if you can get away with just buying regular unleaded, that's fine. If you have to get the higher premium, the 95 octane unleaded gas, that's going to be pretty expensive. Okay, so watch out what's going to happen with the stuff that's going on over in the Middle East, because it will filter its way over here. And if you haven't started to prep, I'd start prepping now. I mean, get your canned soups, your canned meats, your vegetables, canned vegetables. You want to get your freeze-dried vegetables. Do as much as you possibly can, because if things shut down and stuff gets scarce, we're going to be on our own. The government's not going to save us, okay? We are going to be on our own. And food pantries can only do so much. So you want to be prepared, okay? Don't say I didn't tell you. Wow, what's going to happen here? We were talking about a lot of different things, and the Fed plans to release sweeping bank capital rules by late March. This is according to Andrew Moran at the Epoch Times. It says, long-awaited banking regulations, also known as Basel III, or if you're really formal, Basel III, endgame framework will be released next month, said the Federal Reserve's top banking regulator. And that's Michelle Bowman. And the Fed Vice Chair for Supervision, Michelle Bowman, appearing at a Senate Banking Commission hearing on February 26th, confirmed that the regulators are expected to release an updated Basel III proposal at the end of March. And while this is the chief goal, Bowman said that the deadline might need to be extended. She told lawmakers that officials at the Fed Office of the Comptroller of the Currency and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation have reached a consensus on the re-proposal. Basel III is a regulatory blueprint crafted in the fallout of the global financial crisis of 2008. It features a number of capital reforms and tighter requirements for how large U.S. banks measure credit, market, and operate risk. And that means, from what I'm hearing, that banks will have to hold more money instead of going a 90% lending rate and keeping 10% reserve. It may change, and getting a loan will be a lot more restrictive. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Most of the world has already switched to Basel III, and the US has been kind of dragging its feet for the last few years. Changes have been made, but more changes will be made. Okay. Wow. Soaring electricity demand meets gas turbine shortage. You know, we're talking about all these data centers. Everybody wants to put in data centers. In my area, we have 2 of them within about 12 miles, and more are being planned. And they have a lot of water usage demands. They have a lot of power demands. Well, in order to generate the power to run the data centers, you have to have generating capacity, and our grid really can't handle that right now. And so you're looking at more gas turbines. And this Irina Slav versus oil from oilprice.com, she said AI-driven power demand is surging far faster than expected, but just a short bit of heavy duty gas turbines is creating a bottleneck. We don't have enough. Turbines makers like Siemens, GE, Vernova, and Mitsubishi are ramping up production, but expansion projects could take up to 5 years. Those turbines are not made very quickly, and there are only so many that can be made each year. Without enough gas capacity, AI growth could slow, or grinds may turn back to coal, potentially delaying coal plant retirement. And if coal plants are retired and they have to bring them back online and they've torn them down, it takes at least a year to get those things moving. And we've got all these data centers. We've never used data centers before. Why all of a sudden do we need data centers? And that's one thing a lot of people are asking the big question. Why do we need them? We never used them before. And now all of a sudden we need them. And we have this artificial intelligence known as AI. And they don't want to get behind the 8 ball. They want to make sure that we're number 1 in artificial intelligence. Why not just have regular intelligence? Well, anyhow, the surge in electricity demand in the world AI hotspots has prompted a comparable surge in the demand for reliable supply. And that's a big thing. Now, here in the United States, at least for Ohio, PJM supplies a lot of power from the eastern coast. Matter of fact, they supply a lot of power to the whole eastern coast. And locally, we have AES, and we also have AMP, American Municipal Power. Luckily, we are not on AES, but we do have to buy a little bit from JPM. AES has their own generating facilities and coal fields and everything else. But for excess electricity, we have to buy from JPM, which is basically up around Niagara Falls, New York, New Jersey, those areas. Okay. So how are we going to furnish the electric power? I don't know. I know one thing, solar power isn't going to help. Maybe it might help you at your house if you're updating your system to power things in your house. Solar might work when the sun's moving, shining outside. Okay. What else is going on? Oh, mortgage rates are below 6%. And you want to check out this one. If I can get it to go.
4 years, long-awaited relief for buyers, potential spark for an industry hit by high borrowing costs. But I don't want people to get too excited, because I'm not sure that the housing market is sort of going to like turn on a dime here now that we have this below 6%. What is it going to mean, do you think?
Yeah, I think that's right, Julie. It is an important milestone, but it's one we've kind of built up to gradually. We've seen mortgage rates ebb over the last few weeks pretty consistently. So that's good news. It means buyers are experiencing lower rates. They're going to see monthly savings of roughly $180, annual savings of roughly $2,200 on the typically priced home. That's essentially like getting a whole mortgage payment for free relative to what they would have paid last year. So it is a very helpful difference. But at the same time, it's not going to unlock everyone. We still have a significant number of homeowners who have a mortgage rate on their outstanding debt that's below 5%. That share is like 70%. So it's not going to immediately unlock everyone, but it is going to help thaw the housing market, as for some home buyers, now is a time to make a move. The math finally works out now with these rates falling under 6%.
Danielle, a lot has been made about the idea that the problem in the housing market isn't necessarily demand. Maybe it's more on the supply side. Have we seen any movement?
It really depends on where you are, which the bigger constraint is. So in the Northeast and the Midwest, we are still very supply constrained. If you look at how many homes are on the market and for sale relative to before the pandemic, they're still drastically lower. On the flip side, if you look at a lot of markets in the West and the South, we actually have more homes for sale now than we did before the pandemic. Not everywhere, but a lot of the markets are back beyond that pre-pandemic level. So I think the impact of these lower rates is going to vary depending on where you are.
Something that caught our eye on X the other day is that the Google searches apparently for the phrase "can't sell home" rose to their highest ever. This change in mortgage rates might, that might start to unstick a little bit.
Yeah, the change in mortgage rates is good, not just for buyers, but also for sellers too, because it does help bring demand back into the housing market. It's not surprising. We've got more sellers. You're going to have more sellers running into difficulty. Another trend that we saw over the last year was an increase in delistings. So those are sellers who put their home on the market, didn't get the price that they were looking for, and instead of maybe cutting their asking price and selling below their asking price, they instead pulled their home off the market and chose to wait it out. And that's a reflection of the fact that today's homeowners have a lot of equity, and so that gives them options. And they are often not necessarily in a position where they have to sell.
What do you think is going to happen with overall pricing? Because there is still this affordability issue, right? I was looking at a New York Times Siena poll, which looked at housing in particular, and voters say 54% of them feel like housing is unaffordable right now.
We have started to see a bit of an improvement in affordability, and we do expect that this year is going to be the most affordable year in 4, with mortgage rates dropping and home prices essentially remaining flat. It's going to bring the cost of a monthly payment down. I talked about those $2,200 savings. And then on top of that, incomes continue to grow. So as a share of incomes, affordability is going to get better because those housing payments are going to drop as a share of incomes. But even though it's getting better, this is still, other than the last 3 years, the worst year in the last 25 years. So those consumers are onto something. It is still hard to afford a home in many markets, and people feel stretched.
What's the current comparison between renting and buying and that affordability?
Depends on where you are, but in many markets, we've seen rents soften pretty consistently over the last couple of years. And already the scales were tipped in favor of renting, and that rent softening has really kind of exacerbated that trend. So in most markets, if you look at the month-to-month comparison, you're looking at lower costs to rent than to buy. However, most people are thinking longer term when they're buying a house. So over the next 5 to 7 years. And in that case, the equity that you build up from buying a home may mean that it's worth it to pay a little bit more upfront to buy a home today, even though you could potentially save more by renting today.
Jim, there could be a lot of wealth.
And you can do rent to own too. And that we covered that on last week's show. How about risk and rewards of taking Social Security at age 62? Have you been ready to retire yet? Or are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Well, listen to this one.
Is 62 the new 70 when it comes to tapping into Social Security retirement benefits? That seems to be the latest buzz from online influencers. Yahoo Finance's Carrie Hannon joins now with a closer look. Carrie, great to see you. So let's dig into this, Carrie. So taking your Social Security at 62 and invest it. This is apparently a buzzy topic, gaining some traction on social media. What do you think, Carrie? Smart strategy?
I personally, Josh, I'm not so fond of it. I think the longstanding advice has been to hold on if you can until age 70 to get your Social Security check. Because if you can, yeah, you can start at 62. But if you can wait to 67, which is usually the retirement age it is now for anyone born in 1960 or later, you get it's a third less if you start at 62. And then if you can hold on from your full retirement age to 70, it bumps up 8% each year. Lots of reasons why a lot of people aren't able to do that. But by taking it at 62 and putting it in, the talk now is take it and put it in the market and invest it, which, that could be fantastic. But yeah, that's not always necessarily going to be the case. And if you need that money and the market has taken a dive and hasn't bounced back yet, you might regret not having that guaranteed income that Social Security provides, as well as inflation protection.
Is there a group of people, though, Carrie, who could think about claiming at 62, who it could make sense for?
Yeah, Josh, here's the thing. For most people, it's not as much about having the bigger check as they actually need the money, right? They need it because they have health issues. They need it because they actually need that money to live on, to make ends meet. With rising costs, this is a big deal. If you've lost a job at 60, it's not so easy to get back into the job market again. Ageism is alive and well in the market. And so in these situations, it makes sense to just go ahead. It's about, being able to survive and make ends meet. Now, and also the other thing you might toss around is there a lot of longevity in your family? That's something to think about, because if you wait till 70, you're making a bit of a crystal ball look that you're going to live a long life.
Switching gears, Carrie, you also write about how for a lot of small business owners now, they see their businesses as their retirement plans. Unpack that trend for us, Carrie, and what are some of the risks there you need to think about?
Yeah, I recently wrote about that in a book I have out called Retirement Bites that Yahoo Finance actually co-branded with me. But the thing about this is, yes, in fact, for many people who are small business owners, their business is their retirement plan. And whenever the company does well, they put the money back into their business to help it grow, to juice it up, to keep things rolling. And they don't even have time to think about setting aside for retirement is, in a sense, taking money outside of their business. And that's not where their focus is. So as you get down towards that age where you think, hey, I might be ready to retire, this is the time to have an exit strategy. If that's been the way you've been working it to think that this is your retirement plan, then okay, what are you thinking of? Are you going to be able to sell your business, and what's it worth? Because most of us think our businesses are worth a whole lot more than they might actually be out in the open market. And there's lots, if you talk to your financial advisor, they can help set you up with experts. If this is their thing, that they help you find the proper valuation for your company, so you know what you might expect to have as an asset in retirement that you can use to continue funding your living in your retirement years and your golden years. Also, if you think you're going to pass it down to a family member and talk to them about how that might work in terms of they would buy it from you gradually over time, or you take a piece of the profits over time. Do they really want your business? That's a family discussion that must be had. So those are just a couple of things, but it's never too late, really, to get started saving for retirement if that's what you're worried about.
All right.
Yeah. You want to make sure that you plan in advance as much as you can on retirement, because I know some people keep on working past 70. So you want to make sure that you plan correctly. Get a hold of your financial advisor for that. Wow, what else is going on? Well, I'll tell you what. How about precious metals? When you take a look at precious metals, people look at trying to save as much as possible, but they also look to invest in stock market, and they also look at putting money into precious metals. And if you've got all your P's and Q's covered and you want to go ahead and invest in precious metals, do it wisely. There are a lot of companies out there, whether it's silver.com, APMEX, or other companies. Do your research before you purchase gold or silver. Now, some people purchased gold a long time ago, and in doing so, they bought the 10-ounce pieces, a tenth of an ounce. And that's the cheapest way to do it. And way back when gold was, let's say, $290 an ounce, it was basically a wise investment. Okay. And now when gold is at 5,200 and some dollars an ounce or higher, who wants to invest in that? So people look at doing silver. And so, on the show, I always take a look at precious metals, because if you can afford it, you can put your money there, because people say when there are times that are full of calamity, you want to put your money into precious metals, because they will always hold their value or go higher. They seldom go lower. And so, in doing that, let's take a look at APMEX right here. This is American Precious Metal Exchange. That's just one of many different sources. I like APMEX for one thing. When I show the screen, up at the top of the screen, it tells you what the current prices are. Look at gold right now, $5,294.20. It went up $97.10. Yeah, it did. And that's current today as of 7:42 p.m. And you look at silver at $94.52. It's $5.53 higher. And then you take a look at platinum. It's at $2,375 an ounce, and it's $78.50 higher. You take a look at all of this. The palladium is basically found in Russia, and it's used for manufacturing. So you want to look at gold and silver, platinum, and sometimes copper with the copper prices. But if you take a look at silver, it's used in a lot of manufacturing. And when you're looking at solar panels, you're looking at computers. That's it. I mean, they use a lot of silver. They use a lot of gold too. So you want to take a look at things. Now, if when I bought some silver, and this is years ago, it was $15.62 an ounce. And look at it now at $94.52. Yeah, my silver is gone up quite a bit, except for one thing. I don't have that much. But if I did, and let's say I wanted to use APMEX, and I clicked on silver, and I wanted to take a look at silver coins, and let's say it was American Eagles, well, you can buy them by the individuals, you can buy them by the tubes, you can buy them certified, okay? And you can take a look at them by weight and everything. You say, well, what's the price? A box, a 500 coin American Silver Eagle box is $55,000 and $470. $55,470. Who can afford that? Okay. A tube of 20 is $2,224.89. That's the low part. Normally they're around $2,254.89. Take a look at 1 ounce American Silver Eagle coins. They're as low as $110.74. Well, if you get quantities between 1 and 19, it's $112.74 each. Like I said, way back when, it was $15.62 an ounce. Then you take a look at the American Silver Eagles. Okay, the damaged coins, as low as $105.74. So you have that to consider. But when times get tough, people go ahead and buy gold, silver, platinum, precious metals, because you can barter with them later on. And if you're going to buy, for example, a 10-ounce gold piece, let's just see what they are. And I'll just get the American Eagles. Let's see what we have here. And I want to see if they have the 10th ounce coins, because sometimes they don't have them available. And I'm not sure that I see them. Okay, 1 ounce proof American silver Eagles, 134.54 for the coin. A tube is $2,220. Wait a minute. I wanted gold. That's silver. Daggone it. I clicked on gold. All right. Now we're there. Let's see if they have any gold. Okay, way down here. They have other different countries, but they're not all the same as far as the percentage of gold per the coins. Canadian coins are generally 99.9995% pure. But you take a look at 1/10 of an ounce American Gold Eagle coin is at $617.12. That's as low as they're normally about $627.12 each. That's for 1/10 of an ounce. Those are good for bartering. The 1 ounce coins would still be good for bartering. There are 1/2 ounce coins. They're good for bartering. Don't buy the bars. You won't be able to carry them around in your pocket. Okay. So, yeah, people hedge against calamity by investing in precious metals. Something to think about. But if you can't afford that, hey, you want to start building up your prepping supplies, your batteries, AAAs, AA's, C's, D's. Make sure that you have a way maybe to generate. Do you have a generator that runs on propane and gasoline? Do you have solar panels? Okay. What can you get? Don't go out and panic buy. Just be smart and say, okay, I need this to survive. Do I have the right amount of blankets? Do I have water? Do I have food? Do I have medicine? Do I have blue tarps for the roof in case I get a problem there? You want to check that out. And you also take a look at the U.S. debt clock. You know, we always take a look at the U.S. debt clock. And the U.S. debt right now is at $38,829,780,000,000 and climbing. That's $113,000 and one. Let's get it right here. My mouth is moving too fast. $113,140 per citizen. Now, for taxpayers, we get stuck with it. It cost us $356,089 per taxpayer to pay off the national debt, assuming everybody pays it off. I don't know about you, but I can't write a check for $356,089. And everything keeps going up and up and up. And with this war that's going on over in Iran, we're spending a lot of money. We're depleting up our missiles, or ammunition, or bombs, and so forth. We're spending a lot of money like crazy. And we've only been at it for a day and a half to 2 days. And things are starting to get a little bit low from what I'm hearing. So the U.S. debt is going to go way up there. What happens when you can't pay the debt? You end up defaulting. And you don't want to do that. And so that's the scary part of it. And we're only taking in, so far it's $5,386,338,000,000 in climbing. Basically $15,717 per citizen. We have to tell the government, stop spending. They have to go on a diet. If we have to go on a budget, they need to go on a budget. We have not been on a budget for months and years. So that's what's going on. Oh, I forgot to talk about one thing here. The University of Findlay. You know, I always talk about them every show. Why? Not only did I go there, it's a very good university. If you check them out, they're about in the top 100 universities in the United States, according to some sources. And you can choose your own future there. Undergraduate courses, 85 plus majors. Graduate courses, 11 masters and 5 doctoral degrees. And you can go online and undergraduate studies too. They have a lot of stuff there. They have academic aid. Their NCAA Division II athletics and their basketball team has done very respectable this year. The football team went to the regional semifinals and had a very good year. They only lost 1 game, and that was in the regional semifinals. They've done very well. And the same thing with track and field, the same thing with basketball, baseball, softball, lacrosse, you name it, they have it, especially swimming. They do very well in swimming. So you want to check that out, the University of Findlay. And if I don't have any more problems, because I had problems last week with this, basically crashed my whole setup and I had to redo it to the last minute. The student to faculty ratio is 12 to 1, 4,700 students from 40 states and 41 different countries. And it's one of Ohio's 10 most affordable colleges, best Midwestern colleges in 2025, and best colleges in America in 2024. And that's Money Magazine. So I can't say enough about the University of Findlay. It's located in Findlay, Ohio. And that's an all-American town. It's a great town. A lot of things to do there. And if you really want to travel about half an hour, 45 minutes to the north, you go to Bowling Green State University, and you can go up there too. Matter of fact, when I went to the University of Findlay years ago, we would do a lot of our research work at Bowling Green State University, and we even had our library cards up there. And it was great. I mean, we could use their facilities and do our research, and then come back to campus and study like crazy, because the University of Findlay is not a fun party school. You have to study. And they tell you that right off the bat. So with all of that, guys, we're going to cut it short this night. And we will be back Wednesday with My World. And we may be talking about more data center problems and legislation and so forth with guests. And then we'll have Money and Change next Sunday. So with that, keep your head on a swivel. Make sure that you're looking around in the news, finding out what's going on. Look at the markets and see how things are. And if you start noticing scarcity in supplies, then you better buy up what you need, okay? The best thing to do is to prepare. And that's all I can tell you, is to prepare. Because if you don't prepare and you suddenly end up with nothing, who's going to help you? You can only help yourself. And with that, guys, that's all I've got. Have a good week. We'll see you Wednesday on My World, and then next Sunday on Money and Change. With that, have a good one. Be prepared.